in the church and like on my podcast, we've talked a lot about how what's happening now feels like the Mormon Moment 2.0. So like back in 2012, and I don't even know if anyone outside the church, like I'm realizing that I assume people were aware of like the Mormon Moment, which was like Mitt Romney running for president and like the Book of Mormon musical happening, right? And there was like this big moment where it was like, oh, people are like kind of talking about us. And then it kind of died down and nothing, it didn't feel like it continued to grow. So it's just interesting how like they build on each other and how like I think that was a lot of people's first exposure to a member of the church. I'm talking about I guess both the musical and Mitt Romney, but it's like I'm just having this thought now, like wouldn't it be so interesting if this amount of media coverage had happened before Mitt ran for president? Like would people have been more or less freaked out by him? We'll never know. But I just think it's interesting how they like build on each other, right? And like there probably were all these little things that you've heard all these years, but it like didn't really become a thing until there's like this critical mass of attention on it. And now it's like it feels like we're everywhere. And I don't know if we're more everywhere than we have been or if people are just like we've reached that level of awareness where it feels like we're not having to like explain from the beginning every single time it comes up. Although
Yeah,
we still are. It's not like anything out there is like a great in-depth explanation of the religion itself.
this is true. I'm almost wondering if being in the age of like the influencer and people just like sharing their thoughts and stuff, it's just become more of an open platform
Yeah.
to air things
Yeah.
out.
Everyone's sharing more and so yeah,
Yeah,
makes sense.
whereas before, 2012, 2013, like you kind of almost had to really search for what you were finding.
Yeah.
Um, because I mean, granted, in 2012, I don't think I knew Mitt Romney was Mormon.
Really, even when he was running for president.
Yeah, I don't think that I remember that
Wow.
being part of his campaign.
That is so interesting.
Yeah. And then
What did
even
you
go
think of him?
to be honest, I feel
Be
in
honest.
in 2012 I was a freshman going to sophomore in college. So
Yeah.
I don't think when it came to politics I
Yeah.
was as informed
I get
and
that. I was
into
the
it
same.
as I would
Mhm.
be now. Like I definitely remember him and his campaign, but I don't really remember what I thought about it.
Hmm.
But even with the Book of Mormon, I at the time I never saw that play, but it was my first, like seeing it, like obviously the words in it, and I just remember thinking like, oh, this is just some funny parody. Like this is what it's like. It's meant to be this, but I just never really put much thought into. Okay, there really is a Book of Mormon, or okay,
Yeah.
this really isn't it, you know?
So had you like come across missionaries ever? Like seen them around?
No,
This is crazy.
no.
This is just crazy because I mean, I just come from like the polar opposite. Like I am like the quintessential Mormon person and I just can't imagine.
I, I
And
remember one of the first times we talked, just to paint to how different we are to the audience. How many cousins do you have?
oh yeah, I want to say 51, but I honestly might have lost count.
Okay, I have zero. I
Yeah.
have I have zero cousins.
Crazy.
It is me.
That is so wild. Yeah, and I mean, yeah, I grew up, in Provo, Utah. I have pioneer ancestors. I'm like, as culturally Mormon as you can get. So the idea of not knowing about it it was like everything I knew, it was the air I breathed, right? It was like just ubiquitous. It was like, I feel like we didn't even it's weird growing up here because it's like it almost becomes something you don't talk about because it's just everywhere and it's just
So
like a given.
so there would be missionaries. They knock on your door.
Yeah. So like so that's how it started. Back before the internet and everything, it was like missionaries, They go in companionships, they go for 2 years, they go door to door, and they basically just ask if people want to hear about the gospel, which is like crazy that that's ever worked because it's so,
I
uh,
the way that now like given like the Ring doorbells, the way that I will look and hide. Like
oh yeah,
I don't want to talk to anybody. I don't want to answer the door for anybody.
yeah,
I like even when the UPS man needs a signature, I make sure to go online and do it before. Like
yeah,
I don't want to interact with anybody at
oh
my
yeah.
door.
And I feel like it's funny. That's like a whole genre of stuff I get sent on Instagram is like funny or awkward or like kind of sometimes rude footage of people interacting with missionaries. But I think it's changing a lot now. Like they do a lot more online. They do a lot through social media. Let's do an episode on missionaries.
I know. I kind of like is there I kind of want to role play this. Like what do you say?
Oh, I don't know. I haven't gone on a mission. So here's the other thing is like, um, missions are kind of, they're like much more, not obligatory, but it's more like an expectation that boys will go on missions. And girls, it's become more and more popular for girls to go on missions, but it's still, I think there are more um, men than women. Elders, they call them elders, than sisters. Um,
Okay.
so yeah, it's like, but it's crazy. I mean, I have a nephew on a mission right now. He's in Houston, Texas, but he's speaking Vietnamese. And so he's like, but he also like he did a lot of like Mandarin in high school. And so he's like using Mandarin and Vietnamese and English and like they're just, I don't know, contacting people
That's
everywhere. I
cool.
mean, it's and that's why they're, they wear the name tag so that it's like when they're shopping at the grocery store, they can like, strike up a conversation and people know
Right.
who they are and what they're doing. But like, I mean, I think it's mostly rejection. Like I think it's which
Which I
you would
could not
expect,
deal with. I absolutely that would hurt my ego, that would hurt my pride, and I would
right?
probably cry every night.
Absolutely. It's funny. I like so I started my most of my career has been in advertising and I started like in LA at this pretty intense ad agency and I remember a guy at my agency. I'd actually gone to school with him at BYU and we ended up working at the same agency. And it was so interesting because like I was having a really hard time. We're pitching idea after idea after idea and you're so young, you're clueless and it's all these people like there's so much pressure and I was having such a hard time. Like I it felt so crippling to me and he's like this is not phasing me. And he's like, I don't know why it's not phasing me. And then we like had this moment where we're like, maybe it's because of your mission. Because he was like, I don't know why. He's like, I feel like everyone in our same situation, our same age group was like hating their lives. Yeah. And he was just like it seems pretty normal.
Used to
So
it, yeah.
part of me is like, I think it teaches a lot of like really impressive life skills. And I'm honestly shocked that kids are still doing that. Like it sounds so hard. It sounds so hard for mental health reasons. Like it's just anyway, it's crazy. But that's been like the primary way the church has spread and gained converts and baptisms.
Well, then I guess that kind of makes sense because we the Tribune did an article about how I think it's the University of Utah is
Yeah.
now going to accept credits.
I saw that. Like offer college credit for people who've gone on a mission.
Yeah, and at first when I saw that, I didn't really know how I felt about it. And but hearing you talk, I mean, that kind of makes sense to me because I mean, yeah,
And
that does teach life skills.
And it's like they do tons of service. They do tons of like a lot of them teach ESL classes. And it's interesting. That announcement was really interesting to me because I had the thought like if BYU had said this, I think people would have been so up in arms about it and been like, oh, of course. It's like it's such a cop out. But
Right.
I think it's awesome that the U is doing it because it's like, I don't know, it feels like them it makes sense to me, right? Like if you are fluent in a language, maybe you deserve some college
Uh,
credits for that. And I
for
know they're
sure.
doing it for like other humanitarian missions too, right?
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
it there's a pretty uh wide range, but yeah, I mean, to me that makes sense.
So interesting.
Plus, I mean, I've always said it like I did so many internships in college, and like the first one I was able to receive 3 college credits for, and then the rest like it was like one, and then I think after I did so another one, I could no longer receive college credit, and it had to be a paid internship.
Hmm.
But I really feel, especially being now 10 years out of college, I got more life experience from doing those internships and being out in the real world. I mean, that's literally how I got my first job.
For sure.
Versus sitting in a college class,
Yeah.
learning where
Yeah,
my
for sure.
comps
And it's
go.
interesting because it's like they come home from their missions and they're, let's see, now they can go when they're 18. So they come home, they're 20 years old, they've lived on their own. Most of them haven't done any college. So it's like this weird mix of like they're super mature in some ways, but like completely inexperienced in terms of like, I don't know, I guess school or like the real world in terms of a job or anything. So